As I was casually minding my business, I came across this lovely first generation Rav4, and ever since the car was released back in 1990s, Toyota says they've sold 1.7 million, and not only that, 80% of these Rav4s are still on the road today. And here is an example of one of those. Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of LJ's Garage. Behind me is a 2018 Toyota Rav4. This one is the LE, and I've never met anyone that says anything negative about the Rav4. And fun fact for you guys, Rav4 stands for Robust Accurate Vehicle. I don't know what that means, but I do know a lot about this car, which I'm going to cover today. So stay tuned as we walk around and talk about the Toyota Rav4. So this is the fourth generation of the Toyota Rav4. It was released in 2013 and was in production all the way to 2018. Toyota finally decided to introduce the fifth generation, and we won't talk about that in this video, but I'm excited to finally cover one of those in a later video. So there were two big changes that came when they released the fourth generation, and the first big thing was they got rid of the V6, which was a big no-no, but I understand why they did it, and they push everyone that wants more power towards the 4Runner and towards the Highlander, which makes sense from a business standpoint, but I really like the 270 something horsepower that was in the previous generation. The other thing that Toyota went ahead and decided to remove was the rear tire that was on the back of the Rav4. It was kind of a signature thing, and I kind of like it. You know, Jeep does it, Toyota did it for a while, they have it on the FJs, they have it on the 4Runners, but for some reason they decided to scrap that and make it more of a compact crossover, you know, more city-friendly type of vehicle. And so in 2015, Toyota made the decision to do a little mid-cycle refresh on the Rav4. With that, they ended up doing the headlight housings and changing those to LEDs. They did the taillights as well, and then on the front bumper, they did kind of like a little Camry style thing where it was a little more aggressive. And you guys see that? Butterfly flew up my head. But they went ahead and they did a little bumper upgrade. But other than that, everything is pretty much the same since it was in 2013. It's such a great SUV crossover that it was doing better than the Toyota Camry. Any car that sells better than the Toyota Camry, that's impressive, because the Camry sells so much, and for this to take the throne as Toyota's little cash cow, and with the Corolla and those two to team up and dethrone the Camry, you gotta say that this is a pretty amazing little compact SUV crossover. As I'm filming, if you happen to notice the massive crack on this windshield, don't worry about it. It can easily be repaired, because I read that it just has to be the size of $1, and this one definitely is the size of $1, and it can be repaired. I'm pretty sure if you just cut the dollar up into a lot of pieces and then glue it across the whole windshield, I think that counts as repairable. So ignore the windshield, pretend that it's not cracked. As I said in the beginning of the video, this is the LE. Toyota has a couple different trims, about 6 of them. So you've got the LE, the XLE, the Adventure trim, which is kind of like the sport off-roady enthusiast type of, you know, model. I don't really want to talk about that one. Then there's the SE, there's the Limited, and then there's the Platinum. So overall, there's a couple different options and flavors that you can get the Rav4 in. And even though this is the base model LE, there's actually quite a bit of features that I want to point out in this one. The biggest thing is that Toyota really cares about safety, and that's really one of their biggest, you know, selling points, is that they offer so many like advanced safety features as part of their lowest trims on all their models. There isn't really much that you get with the LE as far as luxury items go. You do have to use a normal key to unlock the door, so you got to push this button right there. It's got a lock symbol, so you know to lock it. There aren't a lot of wheel options for the Rav4, but what you do get with the LEs, you get 17-inch wheels. They look pretty good. They're stylish enough, but they're not so, you know, loud that everyone's gonna pull over and take pictures of your Rav4. But what they will say is, wow, that is a good-looking, you know, SUV. You've got normal doors, you've got roof rails, you've got this little spoiler back here. Look at these LED taillights, which look pretty good, I would say. Toyota did a great job on that redesign. And pretty much, it's a normal SUV. This is pretty much the standard. This is what every auto manufacturer, Mazda CX-5, all of them, CX-3, they all go towards something like this. They want to make a Rav4. They want to make something that every American, every world buyer wants to drive and own. And this is the, I mean, there's nothing to hate about a Toyota. You know, there's even the Yaris. The Yaris is a great Toyota. Even though it's, you know, got no muscle and horsepower and all that stuff, everyone just loves Toyota. And if you don't love Toyota, let me know in the comments section down below. So under the hood is a 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder. There's no turbo options or anything like that. but it does make 176 horsepower, 172 foot-pounds of torque. It'll do 0 to 60 in about 9.3 seconds, which is all right. It's about as fast as a Ford Escape, a Mazda CX-5. It's really not going to blow the doors off anything, but Toyota did sacrifice that V6 in order to get better fuel economy numbers, which they were able to achieve. So 23 city and about 30 highway. After doing about 2,000 something plus miles in this car, I can say that if you stay at about 70, 75 miles an hour, you'll actually be able to do a little bit better than the 30 miles per gallon on the highway. It's actually pretty impressive, and it does move out of its own way. It's not the slowest thing I've ever driven, but it's definitely not the fastest. I'll give you guys a peek under the hood, but really there isn't much to see. This is a pretty traditional Toyota engine bay. Not much to see, but the good thing with this is parts are plenty, easy to repair, easy to work on, not too much of a thrill. The only option that you have for a transmission is a 6-speed automatic, which is plenty good. They do have a CVT in the hybrid models. You do have the option between all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive, and if you go for the front-wheel drive, you'll get a little bit better gas mileage, but overall, you just got to determine what climate you live in, if you even need the all-wheel drive. Now to touch on the practicality of the RAV4. As you can see, this is the rear end. You do have the option to get a power tailgate on the higher trims, but the LE does not include that, so you have the normal hydraulic lift arm, so it's enough of an assist so you don't have to work too hard. But if you're willing to spend a little extra money, you could definitely push a button and have this automatically work its magic for you, which I'm a big fan of. As you can see, there's a good bit of room, plenty of space for activities. I'm a huge fan because Toyota still includes a spare tire. So if you make your way over here, you'll notice that right under here, you got your traditional spare tire. And I love that. So here I am in the back seat. I'm sitting comfortably. One of the biggest things that people praise the RAV4 for is the fact that it's got so much headroom, so much interior cabin space, and I can vouch for that. So I'm 5'9", I've got my seat set for my driving height right here. And as you can see, I've got a whole, probably a half a foot worth of leg room still. I can spread out comfortably, relax, put my feet up, and have a good time back here. So if you're a little bit taller, there's plenty of room for you, but if you're way, way, way taller, like a giant, like 7 foot tall, you probably don't want to be in the back of the RAV4. There's not much back here, no charging ports, no air conditioning vents. This is what everything looks like from the driver standpoint. I'll go over all the infotainment settings here in a little bit. And on the left-hand side, you'll first notice that you do have lane departure warning, which is standard on all of these RAV4s. You do have some blank buttons, because that's for your fog lights and extra stuff that we don't have on the LE trim. On the steering wheel itself, normal, traditional Toyota steering wheel, you'll find this all over their different models. All the SUVs have this pretty much standard Toyota wheel. You do have your active cruise control settings right there. Down here, you do have your cruise control settings for your normal traditional cruise control, but if you're doing the adaptive, that's going to be right here, so you can set the distance between you and the cars in front of you, and the car will maintain that driving position. Standard analog gauges, and you'll see that it'll tell you if you got any doors open, which I've got the driver door open right now. On the right hand side, something that's really handy for those of you with children, or if you want to make sure your adults are wearing their seatbelts. Let me see if I can get a good picture of this. It'll tell you what your rear passengers are doing. Toyota is one of the first to do it, and I love that they do that on almost all their SUVs because it's very important. If you upgrade to a higher trim, those have a 7-inch screen, but this is the normal 6-inch screen. This is an iPhone 7, and you can see the iPhone 7 pretty much fits exactly where that screen is. So, you know, no Android Auto, no Apple CarPlay on the LE. Down here, you've got your climate controls. If you want to get dual climate control, you have to go to the next highest trim, which is the XLE. But other than that, everything is pretty standard. I'll turn the car on in a second and show you guys what everything looks like. But down here, normal Toyota shifter, old school analog emergency brake, and that is everything. The RAV4 does offer forward collision avoidance and pedestrian detection. You got your rear view cameras, all of those good things, all standard. Down below, you've got eco mode, sport mode, neither of which really do a whole lot. You do have a 12-volt outlet right there, glove box, a little storage area right there, storage areas in both doors. So one thing I want to point out is that if you go into settings, you can see that you've got LDA, your lane departure alert. You can adjust the sensitivity so that you can set how much the car intervenes whenever you start to depart from your lane, or you can just set it to where it just gives you the warning, and that's it. So driving the RAV4 is a very solid driving experience. There isn't much to complain about. There isn't much to ask more of, unless you want something sporty, which this is just not that. But other than that, I mean, it's comfortable enough. It's fairly quick enough to keep up with regular everyday traffic. And, you know, for driving through these, you know, Ohio roads, it's pretty bumpy, but it handles them well. Acceleration, like I said, that 0 to 60, 9 point something seconds is pretty spot on. But if you need to, you know, get on it really quick, it'll move. You're not going to break any land record speeds or anything, but you'll be able to pass people regularly without problems. You can merge onto the freeway, get up to speed safely, all of those good things. But overall, I mean, the RAV4 is reliable. Everyone who knows Toyota knows reliability is kind of their strong suit. I can't think of any other issues I've heard with the RAV4. If there are any other issues, you know, and you are a RAV4 owner, be sure to share them. But just doing some research on this, there isn't anything that stands out. The issues are few and far between. And, you know, yeah, every manufacturer has recalls, so Toyota isn't any different. There are little simple safety recalls. But overall, it's a solid platform. For a 2018 and whatnot, this car has a lot of those modern features that should be standard on every car, and I love that Toyota still sticks to that and gives you those features in a car under $30,000. So overall, those are my thoughts on the RAV4. Very solid platform, very solid car, and there's a reason that it's made the Camry no longer the top-selling Toyota, and it makes sense that people are going towards SUVs and cars like this. Thank you guys so much for checking out yet another video in LJ's Garage. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you so much.